Busted mad like inside the dark, call me Bill Snatcher. Just the brother for the rapture. I hang live, holding on strong, hard to capture. Extravagant, resurrect the track and it's militant. And I react like a garden and start killing. It's manifesting. The God's work like appliances, dealing in my psyche.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys another discussion for Boruto chapter 68, and this new chapter end off with a major cliffhanger that has the community talking once again about this connection between Amado and Eida. After the last chapter, there were quite a few comments of people saying that Amado is likely Eida's daughter, and I wanted to address that. I think the first thing that we can all agree upon is that regardless of which side of the fence you're on, that Delta is Amado's daughter or Eida is Amado's daughter, what we can all agree upon is that if Eida is that daughter that Amado mentioned to Naruto, you are going to find out in the next chapter, depending on what words get said in the chapter, is pretty much a 75% likelihood that if she is his daughter, she's going to say something because she's been waiting to kill him. However, that 25% is where I want to start things off because there is evidence that suggests that they aren't blood related. That 25%, it isn't as open and shut as people think it is. So the first is the usage of the word dandy when she's speaking of Amado, and the second being the fact that Eida directly stated that her brother Damon was the only person other than an Sasuke who could kill her. Those are strongest bits of evidence that they aren't blood related, but again, when we look closer, there are holes in this line of thinking, and I've been meaning to discuss this as we've gotten closer to a possible revelation. Despite these 2 points, there have been potential red herrings that have been in place that do split people between the idea of Eida and Delta being one of Amado's daughters. With Delta, the first translation we got was that Amado said that my daughter is always talking back to me. However, the Viz translation changed it to Amado saying that Delta had a smart mouth. And then when you get to the anime, the voice actor seemingly ended the debate once and for all by referring to Delta as being that girl and not using the tone and expression consistent with daughter in Japanese. By that point in time, Eida had already been introduced in the manga and Masashi Kishimoto had taken over the manga's writing. And given the anime and manga work so closely together, it's not crazy that the expression used by the voice actor was intentional given what just happened in the Boruto manga a month prior to that when Eida got introduced in the manga for the first time. However, going back to Eida, the two main points of objection of Amado being her father about the usage of the word dandy and Damon being the only one that she said that could kill her other than Sasuke, we have to break this down a little bit. Let's start with the word dandy, which occurred in the same chapter where Amado revealed that he had a daughter. Eida used that word in a chapter where Kishimoto's iconic deranged kanji had been sprinkled through a lot of Eida's commentary in that chapter, in particular when it comes to the ways that her powers work, which is very important to note given how we just looked at how the context matters in Japanese, and getting the context wrong or changing the context slightly because of the way that the kanji is written, it can change the whole tone of the dialogue. At face value, you see her calling Amado a dandy as her either giving a compliment or Eida saying something backhanded towards Amado, since calling someone a dandy can either be a positive or a negative depending on how it's used. However, in order to get down to the bottom of this, I reached out to somebody that I trust very much when it comes to getting Japanese translations and had the entire scene looked at and broken down. And based off of the translator notes that I have, Eida was being very backhanded towards Amado in that conversation. The whole conversation was pretty much a middle finger to Amado, and I'll explain why. So she did use the word dandy. That's not in question. However, it's the way that she used it. So when you look at Eida before that, Eida was talking in a very serious manner. However, the moment that she got to speaking about Amado, everything switched to katakana, and when she used dandy in that manner, her katakana in that moment was written as being sarcastic. If she was being serious, she would have described him in a more Japanese-like way with the serious word according to the translator that I use. When she's calling him intelligent and dreamy off the context, she's really giving a backhanded compliment, similar to the way that you would say, oh, you're so smart, and you're calling somebody an idiot. The way that her words are ending with the sentences when she speaks to Amado, it's written in female speak to where it's not to be seen as something flattering when she says it. When Eida speaks, a lot of it has double meaning behind it. It's something I've told you guys about in the chapter reviews when I said that, hey, the way she used the word battlefield, she was really referring to her romantic situation and not necessarily the state of affairs on the actual battlefield where Naruto and Kawaki and Boruto and Code was taking place. A lot of stuff that Eida says is written in doublespeak the same way that it was for the character of Mei, which is why I made that video calling Eida a cake woman and explaining what the cake woman trope was. These are just Kishimoto deranged kanji penchants. The cake woman elements are meant for humor, but in this case right here, when she's speaking about Amado, that's why you had that tonal shift right there. And that lines up with what we got told by Eida, that she wants to kill Amado. And every time she was talking about him, she was talking in a negative light because she wants to kill him because of what he did to her body, which would explain the sarcastic use of the kanji. That's what makes Kishimoto's deranged kanji so fascinating, because the entirety of the chapter when Eida was either speaking or she was being spoken about or stuff about her was being explained, it was all littered in Kishimoto's classic doublespeak. It's something that still continues to this day. When she's speaking, there's doublespeak in there. Now, somebody's gonna say, well, Amado did say that his daughter was dead, so why is Eida alive? Why does she look like she hasn't aged a day over 25, 26, if she's a cake woman like you said? Well, I would kind of push back and say, we have to keep in mind that this entire franchise has shown us that cloning is a thing. It's not crazy to say that the guy who made a Jiraiya clone and turned him into a cyborg, and that same clone was implied to be receiving memories from Jiraiya, that the guy didn't attempt to do the same thing with his own daughter. It's not crazy. Part of the themes that we've seen in the Boruto portion of the story, especially when it comes to what Masashi Kishimoto's written, i.e. Naruto Gaiden, Boruto the movie, and the Mitsuki one-shot, is the relationship between parents. And when you look at Naruto Gaiden, one of the things that you have is there's a question of whether or not a clone actually has a parent, or whether or not the clone is just something that is a tool for the parent. That was the whole purpose of the Shin Uchiha struggle. Orochimaru has Mitsuki as a clone, and he has other Mitsukis that he can use if anything happens to the one that we've grown accustomed to. When Kodachi was the one writing the story, you had Kashin Koji. Kashin Koji was viewed as a Jiraiya clone. And then you had Ku in the Hidden Stone Village, who was a clone of Inoki. So this isn't the first time that we would see something like this. And that would kind of bring into question the other part of it too, which is the idea of, well, Amado only talked about one child. When has Amado told the entire truth? How many times has he left stuff out for his own personal reason? It's not crazy that one child died and he made a clone out of that child and the other one was still alive, hence why he said that I had a daughter, but she died 12 years ago. There was no need to say that I still had a son. Eida and Damon were both kept in those containers. Those containers look like they had some type of low temperatures because of the steam and everything came out of it. When you get into, I believe it's cryogenics, whatever they use to try and like freeze stuff, like in science fiction, that's one of the things that they use to slow down the aging when people travel through space and everything. We know Kishimoto had written a sci-fi manga with Samurai 8. He has sci-fi influences, so I don't think that that part right there is crazy. But let's move over to the Damon portion, which is Eida saying that Damon was the only person other than Sasuke that could kill her. On that one, it's kind of cut and dry. She said that Damon was the only person other than Sasuke that could kill her. She didn't directly say that that was her only blood relative, only that this was the only person that could kill her other than Sasuke. Eida's pretty damn strong. Eida only has simple taijutsu, but Eida and Damon are those cyborgs that Amado said have power that goes beyond Jigen. She said her taijutsu is only simple, but when you have somebody like Amado who's a non-combatant, simple taijutsu is more than enough to take care of somebody like that. Amado only has ninja tech upgrades to his eyes, nothing else. If Eida got her hands on him, she would kill him. And it's also one of those things where when you look at it, Amado holding back that information because it was convenient at the time, because it was a need to know basis, that's not the craziest thing. And in fact, that's something very similar that he shares with Eida, because Eida withholds information on a need to know basis. She hasn't told Code everything, the same way that Amado has been revealed countless times to not have revealed everything to Naruto. The fact that Amado says that line and Eida's introduced in the same chapter coming out of that tank, I don't think it's a coincidence. I think that this might be something in hindsight, like when you got to the Fated Battle of Brothers arc, I believe in 2006 or 2007 in the manga, when you saw Kakashi and Tobi's Sharingan. That was the first time that we saw that same page split with the Sharingan on both sides in 4 years in the manga when you had Kakashi Gaiden. It's one of those things where in hindsight, that was an obvious nod towards Tobi being Obito. I think there's a similar thing here. It was need to know and it was not a need to know basis. Now, I will say this, when we get to the next chapter, if Eida uses her ability on Amado, and Amado falls for it, you can kill that whole conversation. If Eida uses it and it doesn't work on him, then you got to look at, one, did Amado make any type of upgrades to his body? I doubt that he made something to counter Eida, because Eida would have known about it. The other thing is that you have to look at whether or not he has a Sasuke data, and then you have to look at whether or not he's a blood relative. There's nothing that implies that Amado did anything other than upgrade his eyes with ninja tech. If Amado would have had a verbal shutdown switch, he would have used it when Code was threatening to slice out his jugular. It looks like that was a one-time thing with Delta. That's why I've always said that I thought that Delta was his child, but this chapter is giving some serious vibes. And just based off of what we have with the context when the voice actor for Amado specifically referred to Delta as being that girl, and doing it in a way to where it was not consistent with what you would see a parent say with a child. It was more consistent with Viz Media, where it was more irritated than anything else. That's huge. And when I say that child, I'm not talking about what's on the subtitles. I'm talking about what's the verbiage that's used when he's talking, the expression that he uses. He specifically uses Musumi. And if I said it wrong, I apologize. Obviously, I don't speak Japanese, but it's one of those things where that's a huge tell sign. So end of the day, we are going to have to wait. But I do think that this is an interesting conversation we need to have. So I want to know from you guys, who do you think Amado's daughter is? Is it Eida or is it Delta? Let me know down in the comment section below. As always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.